KREM 2 News begins now.
It's been a busy news week in Spokane and the rest of the inland Northwest. Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus for Week in Review. I'm Tim Pham. Here now is a look at some of the biggest news stories from this past week.
With warmer temperatures comes another season Spokane's preparing for, construction season. This year, the city will invest in some new and old projects.
So everything together is in the $100 million range for the season. So that includes some of the stuff that was already started.
And that means the return of road work, including two busy streets that were backed up last year.
You'll see things like the Post Street Bridge get finished probably late in the year. You'll see a continuation of some work on the Thor-Freya corridor. We're going to do those intersections with Thor and Freya at 2nd and 3rd.
The intersections with 2nd and 3rd are set for a full road reconstruction with curb, water and sewer replacements, and ADA ramp upgrades. That's expected to cost around $1.5 million.
It's going to be a much smaller impact than previous. We'll be able to maintain at least one lane of traffic on each of the roads.
Many of the city's anticipated projects revolve around pedestrian safety, including adding hybrid crossing beacons like these at more spots citywide. That includes several spots along Division, Green and Carlisle, and the Nevada-Joseph intersection.
We look throughout the city to determine where we need to make improvements to allow pedestrians to move more freely through our community, particularly around places like schools or hospitals or places where pedestrians might collect, if you will, like a grocery store.
More sidewalks are also coming. Walkways will be installed near Bemis Elementary, Driscoll, Alberta, Cochrane, and on the west side of Haven Street. I did speak with a coffee shop in this area, and they tell me that that project last year did really slow things down for them, but the city tells me they've already started connecting with businesses in the Thor-Freya area, just warning them about what's to come. In Spokane, Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
I'm standing by the Magnolia Street pedestrian bridge, and if you've driven by it recently, you might have noticed something different. The entire center part of the bridge has been taken down and the work's not done yet. And there's a new start time for the closure of I-90 between Division and Freya. WashDOT says it will now close at 6 p.m. Saturday through 9 a.m. on Sunday. Last weekend, crews took a large piece of the bridge out from over the highway, and this weekend, crews will focus on taking down the rest of the bridge.
We will be close. There'll be some cleanup left that'll be happening likely next week. It'll also depend on how quickly the structure does come apart. If it does take a little bit longer, we could be looking at additional delays or closures in the coming weeks.
Ryan Overton with WashDOT says the bridge couldn't be fixed because of safety issues. He also said the cost to demolish the bridge is about $600,000, which is a lot less expensive than trying to replace it. And the reason for the extra hour of the I-90 closure this weekend is so crews have more time to pick up debris. In Spokane, Nathan Hun, KREM 2 News.
Through a search warrant, we have learned police first got involved around midnight Wednesday when a woman called for a welfare check on her sister, but that woman wasn't discovered until about 4 hours later. This was the scene on East Diamond Avenue last night. The first call to crime check came in hours before this. A search warrant shows a woman said she couldn't reach her sister, and family was concerned because that woman had sent pictures of injuries she said her ex-boyfriend gave her. Police did try to contact that woman at her apartment around midnight, but didn't have cause to go inside. And we have learned it was a maintenance man and the woman's caseworker who found her dead inside the apartment. Documents show the maintenance man drilled into a door lock as the caseworker tried to do another welfare check. That wasn't until around 4 in the afternoon Wednesday, and that's when police were called to the scene again. Investigators noted injuries including a black eye and a baseball-sized lump on the woman's forehead as possible signs of a homicide. And right now, this case is still under investigation. No suspects have been identified. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
In the
the Spokane region, we've seen local jurisdictions, nonprofits, and health providers take steps to address homelessness. But we could soon see these entities and other stakeholders come together in these efforts under one regional system. This joint statement is circulating among Spokane's 3 largest jurisdictions. Once it's finalized and signed, these entities will have agreed to spend 90 days of due diligence developing a regional system to address homelessness. Based on the draft version of the joint statement, the system could be built on shared finances, data, and other resources.
Seattle has recently come together. Houston has had some great success.
Gavin Cooley is helping coordinate this joint statement. In a Spokane City Council meeting this morning, he explained its significance.
Coming together and saying, yes, we'd like to have this conversation. We haven't made any decisions yet, but we are interested in a conversation about a regional collaborative approach to addressing homelessness.
Cooley adds once the statement is signed, other jurisdictions like Cheney and Airway Heights, along with other community stakeholders, will be asked to join the discussion.
We do want to get feedback on different models, on what a structure might look like.
Spokane County commissioners also discussed the statement in a meeting this week. Today, Chair Mary Cuney says discussions of what a regional authority would look like began during COVID.
It kind of got us thinking along that path. How do we take the politics out of this and really do the right thing for the people?
Some local leadership, including Cuney, visited Houston in October to see its success in reducing homelessness. Cuney hopes to see similar results by following Houston's lead.
It's really taking those silos away that are going on within nonprofits, between nonprofits and the community services from the different, government agencies, and really saying, how do we bring that together? And I think that's what Houston really did.
The Spokane mayor is on board with this joint statement as well. In fact, her office tells me she has been a leading voice in these efforts. Now, we also know the city of Spokane Valley will be discussing this letter here in the near future. We'll be keeping you updated as this story develops. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Well, Empire Health says the homeless people still living there have the most complex needs, which exclude them from shelters and a lot of housing options. While officials still haven't shared when exactly the camp will close, they say they're getting closer. A new report from the Department of Transportation says Camp Hope is moving in the right direction. The latest independent count conducted by I2 Strategies estimates there's 108 people living inside the camp, which is down from the estimated 600 plus living there over the summer. The DOT says while the latest numbers are encouraging, there's still more work ahead, and those that remain have major barriers that shelters and other housing options aren't equipped to handle.
The shelters that we have are unable to get insurance for individuals who can't basically meet their own independent independent living skills, and so they can't actually participate in those shelters. Some of the individuals have intensive substance use issues. Some of them have other kinds of medical or mental health needs.
Empire Health President Zeke Smith says some of the people still camping here have criminal histories, making it difficult for them to transition out of the camp and into housing.
We got to work together on this issue. These are our neighbors.
There's still 65 tents on the lot, and Smith says they're continuing to find housing options for those people and places for the remaining 12 RVs. Smith says the next steps also include finding long-term funding for permanent housing and shelter, and eventually removing the fence around the camp and cleaning the site, although he did not say how much longer all of that will take. In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
We're still a long way from the trial for Brian Koberger's alleged involvement in the murder of 4 University of Idaho students. Meantime, Kootenai County has agreed to lend its public defender services to Latah County for this case. According to the Capital Criminal Defense Provider Agreement, Latah County wanted to establish competent defense counsel for Koberger and a team of attorneys who are qualified in death penalty cases. It also details compensation for Chief Public Defender Ann Taylor and her team. Latah County will be paying Kootenai County $200 per hour during the 40-hour work week, and any hours outside of that, Latah will pay Taylor directly at the same rate. It's the same setup for the second attorney attached to the case, only he will be paid $180 per hour. Attorneys will also get reimbursed for mileage, lodging, and meal costs. Taylor's investigators are even getting compensation at a rate of $45 an hour. Now, mentions of death-qualified attorneys in the agreement are a big indication the Latah County prosecutor may pursue the death penalty. The cost to do this can add up quickly. But Idaho has a voluntary capital crimes defense fund to ease the burden. In order to access the fund, a county must meet a criteria, one of which includes a county prosecutor must declare they will seek the death penalty no later than 30 days after the defendant enters a plea. Koberger is expected to enter his plea on June 26th, which means the prosecutor has until the end of July to officially pursue the death penalty.
I'm here at the Spokane Valley Fire Training Center, where thanks to the maintenance and operations levy that was passed last night, the Spokane Valley Fire Department will now have the funding to add more firefighters, but also more fire trucks and equipment. The Spokane Valley Fire Department relies on levies every 4 years to fund their resources. But this year, the levy was especially important. In 2022, Spokane Valley fire crews responded to a record number of incidents, over 23,000 calls, the most in any year in history.
Every day seems to be even more busier for us.
Sean Pichette is the union president for Spokane Valley Fire. He's been a strong advocate to invest in more resources.
We did a lot of sign waving, getting our message out there as well on street corners early in the morning.
Last year, the department was way over budget on fuel alone. Frank Soto is the fire chief for Spokane Valley Fire.
Our budget for fuel alone went up by over 64%. So, I mean, I think sometimes we forget as a fire department to share that information with our public. But
the levy passed with a 67% vote, and it will provide $25 million in new funds to the department.
Because now we can get more fire trucks on the streets, we can get more firefighter and firefighter paramedics on the streets, and so it's only going to help what we're already doing.
This season's Fire Academy has 15 new recruits to keep up with the increase in calls.
Now, the amounts on what we needed within the levy, we did change that in order to build up and add more positions within the fire department because the need was huge.
I'm told funding from this levy will kick in starting next year, and it will help fund the Spokane Valley Fire Department for the next 4 years. In Spokane Valley, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
So this new potential ordinance would put tax incentives in place for developers here in the Spokane area to build new housing. The City Council will be reading the ordinance for the first time in this evening's meeting. The ordinance would specifically be development in the downtown Spokane area. It would create a sales and use tax deferral program to incentivize building on unused land downtown. Under the ordinance, at least half of that development would have to be affordable housing. A good portion of that unused land downtown is parking lots. The city says a 2019 parking study shows 30% of downtown is parking, and the study found even at the busiest times of day, people were only using 56% of the available parking. Again, today is the first time City Council will be hearing this specific ordinance, and then the final reading for this will be just 2 weeks away on February 27th. In Spokane, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
The Spokane Police Department will soon be getting one of these, a mobile security unit allowing officers to keep an eye on areas in the city experiencing an increase in crime.
The location will be determined by the police department. They'll get to decide where they determine best by hotspots.
Councilman Zach Sapone sponsored the special budget ordinance. The city will spend close to $30,000 to rent the camera for a year.
The whole look of it, it's just very police state-ish, just huge thing, and for that amount of money, it seems like we should be able to get a lot more coverage in the town.
Council President Brian Beggs voted against the proposal, as did Councilwoman Betsy Wilkerson. She thinks that kind of money would be better spent on street lighting.
It'll just show up in a neighborhood or a location. So I personally have some concerns about equity.
Obviously, cameras bring issues of security and privacy. But when it comes to issues like this is still in a public space.
The surveillance unit passed in a 5-2 vote. Begg says there will be a separate ordinance where police will have to come before council members to explain how and where the camera will be used. Tonight, council members also discussed the possibility of a sales and use tax deferral program to incentivize building affordable housing on unused land downtown. A 2019 study found that 30% of all space downtown is parking. The study also found that even during the busiest times of day, 44% of available parking went unused. In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Less than 1 week ago, a 17-year-old boy was shot and killed here in the East Central neighborhood. Now, a memorial in his honor is growing at the crime scene. Flowers and a card dedicated to that 17-year-old boy who was shot. 2 other people were also shot. Today, a suspect in connection to the shooting last week appeared in court for a second time to face charges as an adult. 16-year-old Leland Westerlund joins 3 other suspects charged with first-degree murder, assault, and robbery. The group was arrested following last week's deadly shooting in the East Central neighborhood.
It is pretty horrifying. No one wants like a shooter in their neighborhood.
According to court documents, witnesses say Westerlund fired a gun at 3 victims. Police say Westerlund then fired at officers before they arrested him Thursday. Westerlund previously appeared Friday in juvenile court, while 18-year-old Hagen Charbonneau, 21-year-old Gavin McGregor, and 20-year-old Sapphire Jesperson appeared as well. But today, he appeared as an adult, and a judge set his bond to $1 million.
The danger to the community and the nature of the allegations, the court does find that $1 million bond is appropriate at this time.
According to court documents, Westerlund's criminal history includes illegal possession of a firearm, stealing a firearm, and other charges. Westerlund and the other 3 suspects are scheduled to appear in court February 22nd for their arraignment. In Spokane, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
The 65-year-old Avista Stadium needs new improvements to meet new Major League Baseball requirements. Now, this project is a complex mix of both new structures and the expansion or renovation of existing ones. And we got a look at what those upgrades could look like when they're completed.
The most expensive Major League Baseball mandated changes for the Spokane Indians affect the playing field, clubhouses, dugouts, and lighting. This morning, Spokane County Commissioners got a look at designs for some of these upgrades, including a rendering for the expanded clubhouse and workout facility. The Avista Stadium project is going to cost an estimated $22 million. The county and Spokane Indians are racing to get a move on this, and that's because these upgrades need to be completed by the start of March 2025 season. If not, the county could lose its MLB affiliation. Commissioner Chris Jordan mentioned this in today's meeting.
I think it'd be a shame to lose our team. I know that the Indians were not the ones that did this, right? That forced the changes. It was Major League Baseball. It's a competitive environment. And I think it's a lot of benefit for the community to have this high quality of a team with the relationships you mentioned.
Now, a new stadium means a new lease, but the county and the Indians are still sorting out that arrangement. The draft version says the county, which owns the stadium, will commit up to $8 million towards stadium improvements. Those funds would be provided on a dollar-for-dollar match to what the Indians raise themselves.
Now, there are a few upcoming deadlines that the county needs to meet to keep this project on track for completion by March 2025. Of course, we'll keep tracking the county's progress on this. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Crushed buildings fill the streets of Turkey, leaving families grieving, thousands dead, and millions displaced. For Americans, the painful pictures are brief and the disaster far away from daily thoughts.
And this is my sister right there. She's a chemistry teacher.
But for Spokane business owner Hakan Dalyan, the pictures are personal.
Everything is gone just in one day. Not even 1 day, 2 minutes.
The number of dead is now estimated at over 35,000. To give perspective, that's similar to the whole population of Wenatchee, taken without warning. For Hakan, his childhood home, friends, and family woken with a violent shake, and some now gone with no final goodbye.
It's worse than a war zone. There's nothing left. There is nothing left. Everything is collapsed, basically.
Hakan is from Hatay Atakia, one of the hardest hit areas, the place of childhood reduced to dust.
Imagine growing up there, going to school there. I have a lot of friends. I don't even know what happened to them. I only got news from 2 of my friends. They're doing okay, about the rest I don't know. Because as I said, you don't know what is going on anymore. You can't really get hold on to anybody. It's just a mess there.
During our interview with Hakan, he told us 20 or more family members have been killed or are missing. While he waits for the latest news, he does what he knows best. He cooks. It is his connection to the future, having recently opened a catering company, but it honors his past as well.
All my cookings are my mom's recipe.
He hosted a fundraiser this week, a quest to gather money to send back home to Turkey.
Housing, food, clothing.
There are some good stories. His brother and family were trapped for over 5 hours, but they were rescued. This is a picture of the family now, safe after traveling for days through the disaster. They're living with Hakan's sister. But it is the pictures and those answers that he doesn't have that are haunting. He told us the story of his 2 cousins, a brother and sister hiding under a kitchen table while the world came crashing down.
She got under the table and he was right next to her when the building collapsed. They were holding hands and then he was talking to her. He said, I can't breathe anymore, just so hard. I think I'm not gonna make it. And he said that, I love you. And then somehow she got rescued, but she was so unconscious. She was screaming, please save my brother.
At the time of this interview, his 1 cousin had been rescued, the other still missing.
And this is your cousin?
Yes, my cousin that I grew up with.
A family that for most of us is a world away, but closer than ever to Hakan, who waits and works so that for those who survive, he's able to help. Reporting in Spokane, Laura Papetti, KREM 2 News.
In a continued effort to educate and warn Idahoans.
Yes, these are the type of pills that we're seeing.
Idaho State Police let us inside the District 1 evidence processing room to give us an up-close look at the deadly drug Captain John Kempf calls scary.
I've never seen or even dreamt of seeing a drug that is so pervasive as fentanyl is and has such a profound impact on the people that use it, even once.
The highly addictive opioid is becoming a much bigger problem in the Gem State.
Already this year, we have seen over 600 overdoses in Idaho, and 10 of those have been fatal overdoses.
Around 70 of those overdoses have been in Kootenai County. 6 people have died here in the first 46 days of 2023.
And so right now we're averaging 1 a week, which is an astounding number.
Even more concerning for police, those overdoses are starting to happen to younger and younger fentanyl users.
We saw a 133% increase in the amount of overdose deaths of victims ages 14 to 18. It's the fastest growing segment of our fentanyl poisonings.
Last summer, a Post Falls high school student nearly died from a suspected overdose. A 17-year-old was convicted of selling fentanyl pills at school. It's why ISP is now going into schools in a statewide push for fentanyl education and awareness. Still,
we used to see 10 or 15 pills at a time.
The problem is growing. The District 1 office seizes about 1,000 pills every week. Some traffic stops yielded a few thousand to 40,000 pills in one day.
It is hard to keep pace, but we have to stay optimistic. We can't surrender to it, and we're going to keep fighting.
Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
He blew through the fence, drove over these headstones. Thankfully, they were flat and his car didn't scrape them.
Last Thursday, Tina Johnson woke up to a call from the police that a car damaged the church's cemetery.
This is the headstone that he hit, this one and the small one.
When Tina arrived, she saw a headstone knocked over and a broken fence. The church's priest is staying optimistic amidst the bad situation.
Of course, we're going to stay positive, and also, not only for us, it's a challenge, and when things like this happen, it takes you to the next level.
The suspect fled the scene but was caught by police later that night. I'm standing at the damaged gravesite. You can see this large headstone that was knocked over by the car, but also a little memorial that was set up over the weekend. And I'm told that this headstone has been in the cemetery for more than 100 years. The damaged gravesite belonged to Baby Bauer. The date of death, February 1910.
I was just kind of shocked that it happened and that it knocked over that giant headstone and broke it up, and it was a pretty sad situation.
Tina says there has already been an overwhelming amount of support from the community.
The family of another one of the kids who was in the truck are the ones that came down and did the memorial.
The church says there are plans to fix the fence and the headstone, and they hope with their insurance they don't have to pay out of pocket.
About terrific people who've worked very hard to make it beautiful and make it a place of rest and a place of prayer. Something like this happens, you know, that same team will jump into action and will put things back the way they were very quickly.
The suspect is in jail. In Coeur d'Alene, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
The end of many pandemic programs means big changes when it comes to filing your taxes. Several viewers have reached out to ask if the child tax credit is being taken away. The short answer is no, but there are some changes to know about, so let's verify. Our sources are the IRS, the American Rescue Plan, and Mark Stieber, Chief Tax Information Officer at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. If you filed your taxes last year, you might have received an expanded child tax credit. The American Rescue Plan increased the credit to up to $3,600 per child, but only for the 2021 tax year.
A lot has changed, the least of which it went down from $3,600 as a maximum and fully refundable. Both of those changes were put into place for the pandemic.
So while the expanded credit has ended, the pre-pandemic child tax credit is still available.
Now it's back to the pre-pandemic amount of about $2,000 in credit and $1,400 refundable if you get down to a zero tax bracket.
The IRS said the change means some tax filers will likely see a smaller refund this year. So we can verify that no, the child tax credit has not been taken away, but it has been returned to pre-pandemic levels. If you have something you'd like me to verify, send me an email at verify@krem.com.
It is a brand new Gonzaga baseball team entering the 2023 season following the departures of the team's top 3 starting pitchers, but the team was still picked to finish first in the WCC in the coaches poll. This is in large part due to the team's new Friday night starter. Despite the loss of Gabe Hughes, Tristan Vreeling, and Will Kempner, head coach Mark Machtolf has all the confidence in the world in his new ace, Owen Wild.
We feel comfortable that he's going to come in and do well and have the bullseye on his chest now from day one. And he's a very mature kid, tough kid. So we feel good that on Friday night he gives us a good chance to win.
Wild finished last season with just 1 loss and an ERA barely over 3. He feels he is ready to go heading into one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country.
That's the way that we do things at this program. We choose to play the best teams we can to get us ready for the postseason, and I think it does a really good job of letting us know where we're at. We're playing the best of the best, so where do we match up with them? And come postseason, hopefully that'll get us there.
The Zags have 3 more players on the preseason All-WCC team with Wild in Grayson Sterling, Xavier Pinales, and Cade McGee, last year's freshman All-American at third base. McGee says this year's team is entering the season with a lot to prove.
It's nice to have, but it's also a big target because I'm going to get pitched different, and I have a lot to prove just based off of having a good freshman year. Doesn't mean you're going to have a good next 2 years, so there's a lot to prove there and continuously just working at my craft.
Reporting on the brand new turf at Steve Hertz Field at the Patterson Baseball Complex, Andrew Quinn, KREM 2 Sports.
I wish we were projected last. I mean, just to put a little more of a chip on our kid's shoulder.
It may be more than a chip. Let's say a boulder on WSU baseball's shoulder heading into the 2023 season.
I think we'll shock the conference for sure. We'll be one of those tough, gritty teams that when teams walk away, they're going to be like, dang, those guys, they get after it.
Fourth-year head coach Brian Green's team enters this season with a blue-collar mentality. The Cougs have had a winning season every year in Green's tenure, but now they're looking to get over the hump.
We've had 3 winning seasons. It's great. We're moving this way. The program's better.
But we're trying to cross the line as a program. We're trying to get to the postseason.
The thought around the program is this is the best team in Pullman since Green has taken over. A big reason for that belief is the depth and experience of the pitching staff. The Cougs return starters Grant Taylor and McCabe Cottrell, along with multiple key bullpen pieces such as Caden Kalber, Cam Liss, and Chase Grillo.
You have a good amount of trust with those guys, so having those arms back's given us a great opportunity into the season. And then we got some new pieces that are coming in that I'm excited to see what they're capable to do against some of these Pac-12 opponents.
Yeah, we're excited about that piece. I mean, we feel like we've got 6 or 7 guys who could start on a Sunday or a Tuesday. That's new for our program.
Offensively, 4 of 5 starters return, the key piece being all Pac-12 DH Jacob McKeon. Similar to pitching, they feel the depth is there to build around their slugger.
Yeah, number one, you bring back McKeon. Just to have that comfort, you bring back Bryce Matthews, who looks really good right now. We just like our depth, and we just haven't had that.
McKeon feels the same way, taking pressure off him to be the guy.
For me, it's honestly just kind of keep doing my thing. And I feel like I can trust the process, trust the preparation that I've been doing. I know I got teammates behind me that are going to support me no matter what, and I think that's just really a nice feeling to have.
Will the Cougs be the Pac-12 surprise team this year? Only time will tell.
I think there's going to be some explosive stuff happening on the field.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus for a look at some of the biggest news stories in the past week in Spokane and the rest of the Inland Northwest. For the most up-to-date news throughout the weekend, you can watch our very latest newscast right here on KREM 2 Plus. Just look for them in the bottom navigation menu. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for watching.